The government for an objectivist society is strictly an agency to bar the use of physical force, direct or indirect, and thereby to leave each individual secure in the knowledge that what he achieves by his own effort is his. He is completely, his rights are inalienable within his own sphere. No one and no group can interfere. By the same token, the government offers him nothing. It doesn't offer him welfare or special favors of any kind. It's not in favor of any individual or group. It doesn't offer special, quote, protection to TV watchers or stock traders or big businessmen or small businessmen or labor or farmers or subsidies for college students, etc., etc., etc. Laissez-faire means hands off. Leave us alone. No welfare state, no Social Security, no Medicare. What would there be then under capitalism? Three main agencies of the government. The police, to protect the citizens from domestic criminals. The military, to protect the citizens from foreign aggressors. And the court system, so that citizens would be able to resolve disputes in a civilized, rational fashion without the need to have recourse to war on the streets, which would be back to the rule of force. Now, we hold that only this, quote, extreme, in other words, consistent an approach to government can or ever has or ever will work. If you try to mix this approach with some elements of government control, as we have today, and of course the government controls have been growing and growing, we hold that the end result of this mixed economy is got to be dictatorship. Not in the sense that it's inevitable, but it is inevitable if the country doesn't change its direction. A mixed economy tells you the government can step in on behalf of some group and give them a favor, of course, which makes all the other groups hurt because that favor had to come from them, since the government produces nothing. It can just hurt one group in order to help another. So that group clamors for some more controls, handouts, or whatever, and then another group does. This has been the history of the United States for well over 100 years. And if you look at the whole history, you'll see that every set of controls has necessitated further controls and further controls. And today, our political movements don't even question that we need more and more controls. They simply divide over which controls should come next. The liberals, for instance, tell us we need more and more economic controls, but let's not have spiritual or moral controls. And the conservatives say, no, we need economic freedom, but we need more controls over thought. We have to legislate against obscenity. We have to legislate against abortion. We have to mandate prayer in the schools. We have to teach creation as on a par with the theory of evolution. So the conservatives are actually worse from the point of view of injecting the government into intellectual, ideological matters and trying to mandate a viewpoint down the throats of helpless young students. The point being that although these two groups fight vociferously, they are both for the same end result. Bigger government, more controls, no matter what their rhetoric is. And that brings us to art, which I can't really summarize very briefly, but I think the best way is if I just say value-oriented. And by that, I mean art should present the world according, and this was Aristotle's idea and Ayn Rand's, as it could be and as it should be. As it could be because we want to always stay with reality. That's the foundation of the whole system. We don't want a fantasy that has nothing to do with reality or that's impossible in reality. But not merely as it could be, as it ought to be. Art is an inspiration. It's a way of giving man fuel to continue to fight the struggle. Life is difficult no matter where you live. And an art which focuses on values, on the good, on giving you an inspiration is called romanticism. So Ayn Rand calls her aesthetics romantic realism, to capture what could be and should be. And in literature, which is the easiest one to talk about, this means novels with heroes with a logical plot, as against the naturalism, which would say, for instance, that there are no plots in real life, so the characters just amble on, and there are no heroes in real life, just the Joe next door. So you have a portrait of the Babbitts of the 20s or the Russian aristocracy of the 1870s, etc. Whereas the romantic approach gives you larger-than-life characters not tied down to one decade or country, which become timeless and universal, like Cyrano de Bergerac, for instance. At the same time, of course, in addition to being opposed to naturalism in art, Ayn Rand was 100% opposed to what's called modern art. You can figure out easily enough when you think that modern art is called non-objective art. And it's smears and dots and so on, which the artist, mystically feels or subjectively feels represents some other dimension. And of course, that's completely out on philosophic grounds from our point of view. In addition, so far as this modern art portrays a content, it's the message of horror. It's not the ordinary Joe next door, but the depraved, dipsomaniac, homicidal monster next door. And when you get that presented a la James Joyce with these, 400-page sentences filled with neologisms, that is where we draw the line, or a lot sooner than that. In music, it means melody as against atonalism. In art, of course, it means in the visual arts, objectivity. And just to give you a clue, my favorite of the visual arts is Michelangelo. That is not mandatory on you or on anyone as an objectivist, but I give you an idea of a view of art, what this kind of aesthetics would sanction.